Hello all you Pokemon fans, and welcome back to my latest video in the anime analysis series. I think it's quite clear from my previous content just how much love and appreciation I have for the XY saga of the anime. I think it's so well written with inciting characters and beautiful artwork, the most fun I've had engaging with an anime series. I remember the summer leading up to me heading off to university was when the majority of the big arcs concluded. We had the incredible Kalos League and the gritty Team Flare arc. It was such an important time for me and I always feel so nostalgic with this series. However, the final gym battle between Ash and Wulfric came first, and it's arguably the most important trilogy of episodes of this whole saga, and something I would like to discuss in more detail now. So let's do it. Let's look at, in my opinion, the greatest gym battle from the entire Pokemon anime. I apologise Volkner, you're very good, but this one is slightly better. So, the focus of these episodes outside of Ash claiming his final gym battle is the growth between him and Greninja. This whole XY saga has been building towards the exciting bond phenomena Ash shares with his Greninja. Even from the very start when he meets Froakie in Lumio City, the series has established this deep connection between them, more so than any other Pokemon. Even Pikachu, to some degree, I would argue. I think this point is further proven by the manifestation of their bond. This fusion that the pair strive to achieve is their connection in perfect harmony. A form that they have been struggling to attain as of late, and one they have been unable to fully form due to a wall of water separating them. Well, this point is brought up almost immediately as this first episode opens up. Bonnie makes reference to this form and names it Ash Greninja, which is fine. It is established, which I think was the point. I just wish it was Ash who came up with the title, or at least kick-started this conversation and goal, as all the characters are aware of this form existing now. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, as it means it is an established goal. I just think it would have made the character writing stronger overall. Ash goes in overly confident as usual, a point which admittedly I dislike about his character. During his poor battle against Roxy, I made note of his confidence and how much it irritated me. Don't get me wrong, it does here too. I mean, granted, he's a better trainer this go round, but it still isn't great to listen to. But unlike before, Ash makes reference to his losing streak, which is clearly playing on his mind. And the fact his rival, Sawyer, is present doesn't help. Especially as Sawyer looks up to him, so I think Ash is trying to live up to that expectation here. At the gym itself, I think Wulfric makes such an impactful first impression. Given all the focus on Ash, it would have been all too easy for the writers to make him very generic. The overall point would still be achieved, but there is clearly more to him. He's so warm, ironic I know, and has such a burning passion for battling. I think this dialogue and sense of being alone illustrates that he'll be quite the challenging opponent, and as he should be. He is the last gym leader you face in the XY games, so you would expect some level of strength. Wulfric just feels very fleshed as a character across this whole arc, which is great. These gym battle episodes have so much more meat to them when the gym leaders exhibit good personalities and strong dialogue. Ash's strong start in this battle makes the inevitable downfall all the more impactful. Hawlucha makes quick work of his Olisnew, which feeds into Ash's confidence for the battle, which is where the issues with his tactics begin to show. I think this is a solid first step in the arc they're trying to tell. It gives Ash a bit of hope and highlights that he does have good strength as a trainer. It's more his mental well-being, the lose streak playing on his mind. All the while, Sawyer is sat in the audience witnessing all of this play out, which must be having an effect on both of them. As Sawyer has pointed out across the series, Ash is more than just a rival. He's the person he looks up to, someone he wants to impress, which makes the struggle Ash is exhibiting all the more difficult for both parties. From Ash's point of view, he wants to be that person Sawyer looks up to. He is feeling the need to lead up to that, and the pressure of it is hard. A gym leader who Sawyer has already beaten, as Wulfric pointed out at the beginning of the fight. The struggle for Ash seems to be the possibility of Sawyer, his rival, surpassing him. Will he make it to the Kalos League at this rate? By the time Greninja comes out, the odds are already against him. Wulfric has taken the lead from him. All Ash can do is press on, literally. His main instruction is just fire, fire, fire moves from Greninja, which again seems to show that his head is not in this battle whatsoever. He's scared of losing again. It's messing with his mind. So much so that the water barrier between Greninja and the harmonious form they want to achieve seems so impossible. It's such a good way of physically visualizing the mental block he's experiencing, and goes to show that in this state, he can't win against such a strong final opponent. His desperation for a victory shines through. Any and all strategy is gone, and Wulfric sweeps Greninja in the end. A Pokemon that earlier on in the series almost took out Dianthus Gardevoir, which proves Greninja has the strength and the ability. Ash is just too rattled at the moment to form any mean-well strategy. Wulfric's guiding words at the end of the battle are quite a powerful way to end the gym battle. I think they were needed. I think Ash needed to know why he didn't succeed this time. It was also hopeful in the sense that he walked away with some clear indication of what he needed to work on in time for their next battle. I think these words needed to come from Wulfric. After all, he was the one who beat Ash. Someone like Clement could have easily told Ash this, but all the power comes from Wulfric. It's an acknowledgement of the battle from both sides. Again, it gives such good depth to a side character such as Wulfric. All Ash does from here is beat himself up. His losing streak didn't end, and he blames himself for it. He didn't handle the final gym battle very well, and he's hurting. I would argue more so than any other time in the series. I mean, there is an argument to be made that his 6-on-6 battle with Paul, where he was wrecked and hurt too, possibly even more so, but I think this had more weight as the final hurdle before the league, a hurdle that his friend and rival has already overcome. A lot of it came from a poor strategy and a struggle to keep the bond going with his Greninja. So him running off into the woods makes so much sense now. It's the logical next step in the story. The setting itself aids this idea so phenomenally. It's the woods by Snowbell City. It's cold, secluded, and away from larger civilization. It really emphasizes and visualizes Ash's internalized feelings. While I think a room in the Pokemon Center would have worked in what they're trying to do, this sort of environment just represents so much more. So much more! I do sort of like the idea that Serena attempted to comfort him. They have a strong connection, so much that she can immediately see how much this has thrown him. So of course she would attempt to comfort him now. Ash is usually the most positive and upbeat protagonist on television, but here he's just so cold and blunt with her. It's needed, I think. While in some ways it's cruel, equally it's pushing the larger point of how he feels. But given the nature of this show, that sort of reaction couldn't be the precedent. She does get through to him, and it's done effectively while utilising the snow all around them. A few tough words and a few close-range snowballs seem to do the trick in breaking his guard. I really like the method she used. I think just words may have been a bit weak, although the actual dialogue itself does prove to him just how loved and valued he is by his friends and rivals in the Kalos region. Which is a nice final touch to the exchange. I think it softens quite a tough scene. Well, a tough scene for this anime anyway. I think what makes this defeat so effective is that it shows that Ash isn't the only one feeling tremendous pain. We as the spectator witness Greninja struggle to come to terms with the outcome of the gym battle. I think something like this only works with Greninja given how much character development and plot relevance it has, opposed to other members of Ash's team. It also manages to put the pair of them on an equal plane. They are now essentially mirrored versions of one another. The plot arc of this trilogy is all about these two and their bond, so it sort of needed this, or something similar to happen beforehand in order to achieve their goal. Now, this anime saga hasn't been afraid to highlight key moments from Ash's past, and this episode is no exception. Ash remembers a time when he was little where he saved a bunch of desperate Pokemon from a harsh storm. At face value, it seems like the whole thing was to trigger and ignite the decision to save some more Pokemon from a bad snowstorm. I would argue this image does more than just that. It seems like that memory was meant to remind Ash of the person he is, and the act itself proves he's still there. The drastic change to the environment forced Ash to break free from his wobble. It just feels like the writers were throwing all the shots out here, and I love them for it. Although, if I'm being honest, I do wish after all of this build-up it was something more exciting than a spooper almost dying to bring Ash Greninja out for the first time. But then again, I guess it goes to show how much of an impact the small things really can have. And it doesn't take anything away from the point, it's still strong. They have a tremendous bond, and now it's at full force. They have overcome their issues and literally broke free from their barrier. them as a duo is clearly very strong. As if this beautiful middle piece of the puzzle didn't already do so much right, it ended in such a special and significant way. So right at the beginning of XY, Froakie chose Ash. It could sense the bond phenomenon and knew that Ash would only be able to draw out its true power. It pushed its Pokeball against him and gracefully, Ash accepted. Well, Greninja once again pushes its Pokeball towards Ash. This act is so symbolic. It's Greninja's way of telling Ash without words that it would like to continue their journey. They may have achieved their bond form, but they sure aren't done. It parallels their original path and proves they're still friends. Which coolly brings us to the rematch between Ash Ketchum from Pallet Town and the Snowball City gym leader Wulfric. I found Wulfric's burning passion for this battle once again so funny and entertaining, so much so that he doesn't care for the official gym rules and does his best to speed the referee along. Yes, we get it, we heard it the first time, he has 8 badges, let's cut the chit chat and battle already. It's just so good and adds so much flavour to him as a person. As I have said before, the gym leaders are objectively so much better when they have actual personality. It makes the cities they occupy, and I guess the greater Pokemon universe, feel so much more lived in. I do like that Wulfric is still a tricky opponent to take on. I think the battles itself would lose so much significance if Ash just walked in and swept the whole team with Ash Greninja. Doing it this way with his selected team highlights the old Ash is back, with a good strategy in mind. I think it makes the reflection he did in the previous episode continue to trickle through in the right way. Otherwise, it loses a lot of depth on the whole and just undoes so much good character work. So, if we look back at the XY games for just a second, it was a known fact that of the first 6 generations of Pokemon, Wulfric's Avalugg was the highest level Pokemon that any gym leader had up until that point. It is a tanky and defensive mon, which shines through in the games and the anime. At level 59, it is an in-game feat before taking on the Elite Four, which in both cases just elevates Wulfric as an opponent. He is clearly no pushover. I think it's interesting that when the players face Wulfric in the games, he doesn't use his Mega Abomasnow, which seems like a bit of a missed opportunity. I guess for the anime series itself, they were possibly looking for some kind of shock value, and Wulfric pulling out his ace card sort of does that here. I just think it would have made the dual immersive experience all the stronger, but that really is a small nitpick on my part. After all, the fight between this Mega Abomasnow and Ash Greninja was incredibly entertaining and a great final hurdle. While I found Pikachu and Talonflame to be fun watches and both battled well, the real factor here was the final 2 Pokemon. Everything in this trilogy of episodes was leading to this battle. Look, this is the final gym battle of an incredible era of the show, so a lot was riding on this. I can tell there was probably a lot of pressure on the writers and animators to make this as spectacular as possible, and fair play to them, I think they delivered something special. The initial showdown between these 2 Pokemon was very good visually with the battle camera implemented this series. And unlike the first battle, Ash is definitely renewed with a stronger thought process. He is really showing Wulfric what he is about and why he deserves a spot in the Kalos League. It's these 2 forces battling it out which really ignites Wulfric's love of battling, so much so that he triggers Mega Evolution to take on Ash Greninja. This is clearly a bit of a novelty for him, something he only brings out against especially strong trainers, and in this instance Ash is illustrating to him that he fits that bill so well. I think Ash and the spectator had a shared sense of surprise as Mega Abomasnow came out. As I said, this is the last gym battle of the XY series and the last official gym battle Ash does during the whole show. So I think it being this absolute beast of a showdown was the best way of ending it. After a lot of intense battling, Mega Abomasnow fell and the newly powered Ash Greninja won the whole thing. It took everything it learnt across its journey and smashes through its mental and physical barriers to give one of the best battles of the whole anime, and one which arguably has the most significance overall. While I do think there are some other great gym battles across the show, like Volkner as mentioned earlier on, this one just hits harder for me. So the Volkner battle relied more on the restoration of faith in battling, and Ash was the opposing value in that scenario. He was able to restore a gym leader back to form. It presented more depth for Volkner as a character than anything too large in terms of greater plot relevance. It is something I will cover in depth in its own video, as I also think it's very good. For me, this one does more as it cleverly manages to interweave the whole arc into the final gym battle in such a meaningful way. That's why this is the best gym battle in my opinion. Well, that's what I thought about it anyway. I would love to hear what you all have to say in comments down below. If you enjoyed what you saw, then would you hit that like button and subscribe? It will help my channel continue to grow and will keep you up to date with everything I've got going on. With that, I think I should take my own journey in the cold snow. See you all very soon.